As someone who lives with his own grief, I also know that what often matters most to the bereaved is that those we have lost are not forgotten.
A stunning royal revelation is sending shockwaves through palace circles. For years, whispers surrounded Princess Diana's hidden legacy, but few imagined it could resurface in a way that changes everything. Now, reports suggest Prince William has gained control of a closely guarded estate tied to his mother's memory, sparking fresh questions about power, inheritance, and who truly belongs within Diana's lasting circle. So, could this unexpected move permanently shut Camilla's family out of one of the most symbolic chapters of royal history? What do you think? Should Diana's legacy remain exclusively with her bloodline? Share your thoughts in the comments below. To help us uncover more royal secrets, revelations, and family drama, be sure to subscribe and join the conversation. William inherits billion-dollar royal estate. Few moments in modern royal history altered the future of the monarchy as dramatically as the passing of Queen Elizabeth II on the 8th of September 2022. While the world focused on ceremonies, tributes, and the beginning of a new reign, another extraordinary transfer was taking place almost entirely out of public view. In the very instant that King Charles III became king, Prince William found himself in possession of one of the largest private estates in Britain. There were no lengthy legal battles, no signatures, and no dramatic announcements. An ancient rule, unchanged for centuries, quietly set everything in motion. What passed to William was far more than a title. In the days following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022, a profound transformation took place within the royal family. As Prince William became the Duke of Cornwall, he inherited one of the most significant estates in Britain, a vast and historic enterprise whose importance stretches far beyond wealth alone. Spread across southern England, the Duchy of Cornwall encompasses ancient woodlands, rugged coastlines, productive farmland, thriving communities, and valuable commercial properties. Covering more than 128,000 acres, it has served for centuries as the financial foundation of the heir to the throne. By the time William inherited it, the duchy was estimated to be worth roughly $1.2 billion and continued to generate millions of pounds annually through agriculture, land agreements, residential and commercial rentals, and a diverse range of investments. Unlike a conventional inheritance, this was not simply a collection of assets to be enjoyed. It was a living institution with responsibilities, obligations, and thousands of people connected to its success. For many families, inheritance involves treasured possessions, family homes, or sentimental keepsakes passed from one generation to the next. William's situation could hardly have been more different. Almost overnight, he became responsible for a self-sustaining enterprise capable of funding official duties, charitable initiatives, and many aspects of life connected to his household at Kensington Palace. Yet those expecting him to approach the duchy as a traditional, wealthy landowner quickly noticed a different attitude. Rather than treating the estate as a distant source of income, William has consistently signaled a desire to make it a force for practical change. Reports have described him visiting communities, meeting tenants, walking the land, and discussing responsibility rather than privilege. He frequently speaks in terms of stewardship, emphasizing care, sustainability, and long-term thinking. In his view, the estate is not something to possess permanently, but something to protect and improve for future generations. That perspective is especially striking because his connection to the duchy is temporary. When William eventually becomes king, the estate will automatically pass to Prince George, continuing a cycle that has endured for more than 7 centuries. Yet beyond the billions, the land, and the influence lies another inheritance that carries even greater weight: the values, compassion, and enduring legacy of Diana, Princess of Wales. For years, attention stayed fixed on the headlines, photographs, and public drama surrounding Diana, Princess of Wales, while every move was dissected by the world. But what story was unfolding behind the scenes that no one truly saw? And how did Diana's private decisions after her separation from King Charles III in the mid-1990s quietly reshape the future of her sons and alter the royal legacy forever? Let's unravel the details. The legacy Diana never stopped building. For years, the world focused on the photographs, the headlines, and the public drama surrounding Diana, Princess of Wales. Every appearance seemed to become front-page news. every gesture analyzed, every word discussed. Yet behind all that attention, a quieter story was unfolding, one that would shape the future of her sons long after she was gone. What many people overlooked was that Diana was thinking far beyond the moment. After her marriage to King Charles III ended in the mid-1990s, she entered a chapter of life often misunderstood as uncertain. Yet behind the headlines, she was quietly shaping something far more intentional. While the world watched a woman adjusting to life after divorce, Diana was laying the groundwork for a legacy that would one day support Princes William and Harry in ways few could fully appreciate at the time. When her life was tragically cut short in Paris in 1997, she left behind more than public memory. Her estate, which included personal assets, possessions, and her divorce settlement, formed a significant inheritance. Because both sons were still minors, the fortune was placed into a carefully managed trust rather than being transferred directly. Over time, that fund was preserved and responsibly handled, eventually growing in value before William and Harry reached adulthood. In many ways, what Diana left behind became not only financial security, but also a reflection of the independence she had worked hard to establish during her lifetime. Yet the true depth of her legacy cannot be measured in money alone. Some of its most powerful elements exist in the emotional and symbolic objects she left behind. Among them was a remarkable collection of jewelry, each piece carrying personal meaning tied to her life as Princess of Wales. While many items remain significant, one in particular has come to represent continuity across generations. The sapphire and diamond engagement ring, originally given to Diana in the early 1980s, eventually came into the possession of Prince William. Years later, in the autumn of 2010, he used that very ring when proposing to Catherine Middleton. In that moment, a personal heirloom was transformed into something far greater. It was no longer just jewelry. It became a living bridge between Diana's past and the future of the royal family. Today, whenever Catherine appears wearing that ring at official events, state occasions, or public engagements, it serves as a reminder of a woman whose influence never truly faded. Diana's presence is felt not because she remains frozen in history, but because parts of her continue moving forward through the lives of those she loved most. Her legacy was never confined to an estate, a title, or a collection of jewels. It lives on in choices, traditions, and symbols that quietly ensure her story remains woven into the future of the royal family. Money and jewels may be divided, passed on, or preserved, but what happens when the legacy left behind refuses to be measured in possessions? How did Diana's story grow beyond inheritance itself? And what deeper truth about her early life holds the key to understanding the weight she still carries in memory? Let's uncover the astonishing details. Where memory refuses to be divided. Here's the thing about money and jewelry. Money can be split into neat portions, passed across hands without resistance, and even treasured rings can quietly travel from one generation to another without argument. But what cannot be divided so easily is what someone truly meant to the world when they are gone. That is where the story of Diana becomes something deeper than inheritance and far heavier than possessions. Long before the world knew her as the Princess of Wales, she belonged to a very different landscape. Hidden in Northamptonshire stands Althorp, a vast family estate stretching across thousands of acres of English countryside, held by the Spencer family since the early 16th century. It is older than modern royal tradition, older than many of the institutions that would later surround her life. Within those grounds, Diana spent her childhood years shaping a private identity that never fully surrendered to public life. Yet history did not end in childhood memories. After the tragic events in Paris on the 31st of August, 1997, the question of where she would finally rest became deeply personal. The answer did not come from royal expectation or public ceremony. It came from her brother, Charles Spencer, who chose to bring her back to the land that carried her earliest sense of belonging. Instead of placing her within a more exposed public resting site, he selected a quiet island at the heart of the estate, known as the Oval. Surrounded by water and reachable only by boat, it was chosen deliberately for its isolation. No crowds, no wandering visitors, no constant attention, only stillness. In his view, it was the closest thing to peace she had ever been denied in life. The estate itself opened seasonally, welcoming visitors in the summer months, where the house and grounds can be explored. Yet the island remains untouched, permanently closed to the public. Even her sons, Prince Harry and Prince William, are permitted to visit privately whenever they choose. But access is not the same as ownership, and memory is not the same as inheritance. This is where perception often shifts away from reality. Diana's name is inseparable from the estate, her image forever tied to its quiet lakes and long green fields. But despite the emotional connection, she never legally owned the land itself. It belonged to the Spencer lineage long before her and continues beyond her. What remains, then, is not a question of property, but of presence. Althorp stands not as a possession she held, but as the place that held her first and ultimately holds her last. Across centuries, the Spencer estate has stood apart from the crown, governed by a rigid inheritance rule even Diana could not alter, now preserved by Earl Charles Spencer himself. But what makes this ancient lineage so untouchable? Why can it never pass to Diana's royal descendants? And what hidden history locked it forever outside the Windsor legacy? Let's find out. Ancient Spencer inheritance stands apart. Across the vast English countryside stands an inheritance line that refuses to bend toward the crown, a legacy sealed within centuries of tradition and guarded by a rule that does not negotiate. The Spencer estate has long operated as a world of its own, separate from the royal household, passing through generations for more than 500 years without ever merging into the Windsor system. Diana Spencer was born into this structure, yet she never controlled its direction, only witnessing its continuity from within. Today, Earl Charles Spencer serves as its custodian, living at the ancestral seat, investing years into restoring its grounds and preserving its identity, knowing the inheritance will not pass to his daughters or to the royal nephews connected through Diana. Instead, the estate follows the strict path of male primogeniture, an old system in which the eldest male inherits title, land, and responsibility, leaving no space for deviation. That rule places Louis Spencer, Viscount Althorp, at the center of the future, a quiet 31-year-old actor who studied at the University of Edinburgh and has chosen a life far removed from public spectacle. Described by those who know him as private, sincere, and quietly talented, he remains largely out of the spotlight despite having three older sisters, Kitty, Eliza, and Amelia Spencer, who are far more visible in public life. The inheritance is regarded as certain, bound by the same hereditary rule confirmed by royal commentators, who have repeatedly noted that neither Prince William nor Prince Harry has any pathway to the estate, no matter how close the family ties may appear. As one commentator, Richard Fitzwilliams, emphasized, the idea of either royal brother inheriting the property is considered implausible and not part of any realistic discussion. Ultimately, the estate endures as a self-contained world, a reminder that lineage does not always align with royal expectation. Even as public curiosity occasionally drifts toward Buckingham Palace and the wider Windsor narrative, the Spencer inheritance remains anchored in its own soil at Althorp, Northamptonshire. It is a system shaped by centuries of tradition, reinforced by male primogeniture, and carried forward quietly beyond the reach of royal succession debates. For now, Louis Spencer stands at the edge of that continuity, not as a public figure seeking attention, but as the designated heir to a legacy that has never bent outward. Its future remains firmly within the Spencer line, untouched by Windsor influence, preserving a centuries-old separation into the present day. Althorp's inheritance has never been just about wealth or status. In many ways, it has been shaped by a tradition that continues to spark debate even today. But why has this centuries-old rule remained untouched despite changing times? How did it create difficult questions about legacy, gender, and family duty within the Spencer family itself? And what role did Charles Spencer ultimately play in preserving a system he has openly described as controversial? Now, let's uncover the inheritance rule that still shapes Diana's family legacy. Althorp legacy, bound by tradition. In the shadow of immense royal privilege, there exists a quieter inheritance that refuses to bend to power or title, and nowhere is this more striking than in the story of Diana's family home at Althorp. Long before palace corridors began debating legality, the Spencer estate had already set its own rules of passage, rooted deeply in tradition and surname. In a 2015 interview, Lady Kitty Spencer spoke plainly about it, saying she valued how the house remains within the same family name and would not want it any other way. Her father, Charles Spencer, has also admitted that the arrangement can appear outdated to modern eyes, yet he insists it protects the spirit of Althorp, where passing it to his eldest daughter instead of his son would break what he believes the estate stands for. His explanation remains simple. It is just the way it is. Beyond these private convictions, a larger emotional contradiction sits unresolved for Prince William. As heir to the British throne, he commands vast responsibility and influence, including the Duchy of Cornwall, a fortune worth around £1.2 billion. He also inherited a share of Diana's personal wealth and carries her memory publicly, even through the sapphire ring that rests on the hand of his wife at major appearances. Yet despite this closeness to her legacy, the land that shaped Diana's early life remains outside his reach. Althorp, along with the island where she is laid to rest, passes through a line of inheritance entirely separate from the House of Windsor, and that separation means no royal authority can redirect its future. Those close to the situation have quietly suggested that William has sometimes found this reality difficult to reconcile in private, though he has never spoken about it publicly. He maintains a respectful relationship with Earl Spencer and continues to visit the resting place of his mother, honoring the connection without crossing the boundaries of ownership. Still, the estate follows a path untouched by royal influence, carried forward by tradition rather than sentiment. And even as this reality settles in, another development within royal circles has begun to intensify attention around long-standing tensions that had never fully cooled. Within the wider household, new sensitivities have added weight to already delicate questions about loyalty and belonging across generations and estates that refuse to overlap despite shared history and enduring memory that continues to shape every reflection on Diana's legacy, quietly reshaping perceptions within the royal narrative itself, today still unfolding. A quiet land registry entry in early 2026 suddenly exposed changes to Queen Camilla's private refuge at Raymill House, raising more questions than answers. Why was ownership quietly transferred to her children without public notice? And what deeper strategy or hidden pressure could explain a move that stayed invisible for weeks? Let's find out. The quiet transfer. At Raymill House. In early 2026, a routine entry in the land registry in Britain drew unexpected attention after details of a private property linked to Queen Camilla surfaced in public records. It concerned Raymill House in Wiltshire village of Lecoq, a modest country residence that has long been described as her personal refuge away from royal life. Records showed that ownership had been transferred quietly to her children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, through representatives rather than a direct crown arrangement. No public announcement accompanied the move, and it remained unnoticed until updated filings made it visible weeks later. Camilla had originally purchased the house in 1996 for £850,000 shortly after her divorce, and she had since used its 12 acres of gardens as a private retreat. Her daughter once held a wedding reception there in 2006, adding to its family significance. In recent years, King Charles is said to have purchased nearby land using private funds, reportedly to shield the area from commercial development and preserve its privacy. That context made the later transfer of Raymill House even more closely watched, as questions quietly grew around family wealth and inheritance planning. Those familiar with estate matters noted that such arrangements are not unusual among wealthy families, where property is often moved into trusts or passed through representatives for long-term security. Still, the timing of this particular case ensured it drew attention far beyond legal circles, especially given ongoing public sensitivity surrounding past royal relationships. It also reopened quiet comparisons with earlier debates about what different branches of the royal family might pass on to their heirs. While official sources described the move as a simple administrative decision aimed at keeping the property within the family, public interpretation varied widely. From the quiet gardens of Lecoq to the corridors of Windsor discussion circles, the story became less about land and more about legacy, memory, and perception. Even without ceremony or public statement, the transfer of Raymill House in early 2026 became a symbolic reminder of how private decisions inside prominent families can carry public meaning. Wealth, privacy, and inheritance all intersected in a way that ensured even a quiet filing could echo loudly in the public imagination. A simple registry update in Britain ultimately revealed how a single property in Wiltshire, tied to years of personal history since 1996, could draw attention across the nation, linking family bonds, past choices, and the ever-present scrutiny placed upon those connected to the royal circle in public view today still. What exactly lies behind these whispers surrounding Prince William's household, where no open conflict is seen and an unsettling imbalance yet lingers beneath the surface? How did a major development slip through official records so quietly? And why does its silent passage now feel far more significant than anyone first realized? Let's uncover the intriguing details. Whispers behind royal household silence. Whispers moved softly through the edges of royal attention, not with the force of scandal, but with the strange weight of silence that often unsettles more than noise. Across the circle surrounding Prince William's household, some observers quietly noted an uneasy contrast that was hard to ignore. It was not about open conflict or personal grievance, but about the picture forming in the background of royal life, one that felt uneven, almost delicately out of balance. At the center of it was a development that passed through official records with little ceremony, slipping out in a way that felt almost too quiet for the scale of what it represented. In another setting, it might have filled headlines for days, yet here it drifted past public attention, leaving only a faint trace of questions behind. The silence itself became part of the story, especially given how closely royal movements are usually followed and examined. The situation drew attention not because of direct actions, but because of what it seemed to suggest. On one side stood the children of Queen Camilla Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, who hold no royal titles and carry no formal duties within the monarchy. Yet they were seen, in subtle ways, securing meaningful connections to land and legacy tied to England's historic landscape. On the other side, long-standing conversations about Princess Diana's legacy and what her own sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, should inherit or access remained emotionally unresolved in the public mind, still surrounded by debate and memory. Tom Parker Bowles, now in his early 50s, has built a life far from palace formality. Known widely as a food writer and author, he has written several books, including works exploring royal cuisine from past monarchs to the present reign. He appears on television cooking programs and speaks with ease in interviews, often carrying a tone of humor about his unusual proximity to royal life. He has even joked that he married into the royal world rather than being born into it, adding with irony that any idea of him becoming a prince would cause chaos at the gates of Buckingham Palace. His sister, Laura Lopes, has chosen a very different path. At 47, she works quietly as an art curator and maintains a life largely away from public attention. She is seen only at significant royal occasions, such as the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan in 2018, the funeral of Queen Elizabeth in 2022, and the coronation of King Charles, where her sons took on ceremonial roles. Unlike many connected to the monarchy, she avoids interviews, statements, and public commentary, allowing her presence to remain minimal, despite her close ties to the royal family. Their connection to the royal household may appear warm and familiar, but what lies beneath that surface tells a far more complicated story shaped by tradition, distance, and unspoken boundaries. How did Tom and Laura, Queen Camilla's children, come to exist in this delicate in-between world close to royalty, yet never fully inside it? And what deeper truths do their rare public glimpses reveal about life on the edge of the crown? Let's find out. Camilla's children between royal worlds. Their link to the royal household is often described in simple, warm terms. Yet beneath that surface lies a far more complex reality shaped by history, emotion, and long-standing tradition. Tom and Laura, the children of Queen Camilla, have grown up in a rare in-between space close enough to the monarchy to understand its rhythm, yet never fully absorbed into its formal structure. Their lives sit between ordinary family bonds and extraordinary public expectation, where affection exists alongside quiet distance, and familiarity does not always mean inclusion. Over the years, Tom has occasionally shared light glimpses of family life, offering a more human picture of the royal circle. He has revealed that his children affectionately call Camilla Gaga, while King Charles is addressed in relaxed, everyday ways that reflect comfort rather than ceremony. He has also described Charles as a kind and attentive step-grandfather, suggesting moments of warmth, laughter, and genuine effort to maintain harmony within the family. From his view, modern families are shaped less by rigid roles and more by understanding, patience, and emotional balance, where personal happiness often outweighs tradition. Yet behind these lighthearted details lies a quieter, less discussed reality. Despite their closeness to the monarchy, Tom and Laura have never been included in royal Christmas gatherings at Sandringham, one of the most symbolic traditions in the royal calendar. Even Tom has acknowledged this in passing, though he rarely expands on the reasons behind such boundaries. They hold no royal titles, and within palace protocol, there is no pathway for them to acquire any. Their position remains unusually connected by marriage and family ties, yet permanently outside the official royal framework that defines status and inclusion. This separation is not accidental, but rooted in a long and complicated history. Their early lives unfolded during a period when Camilla's relationship with Charles existed in the background of public scrutiny and emotional strain. At the same time, Princess Diana's marriage to Charles was breaking down under intense pressure, ending in divorce and later followed by her tragic death in 1997, which left a lasting impact on the monarchy and public memory. Eventually, Charles and Camilla's relationship moved toward acceptance, culminating in their civil marriage in 2005 in a quiet, carefully managed ceremony. Even today, those earlier chapters continue to shape present relationships in subtle but enduring ways. Reports suggest Prince William maintains a polite, respectful, yet measured connection with Camilla's children, shaped by shared history and memory rather than closeness. Within the royal circle, the past is never fully gone. It lingers in tone, distance, and restraint. What remains is a family that appears united in public, yet still carries invisible boundaries shaped by time, loss, and the weight of royal legacy. How did Princess Diana's memory become so carefully separated from royal control, resting in a place shaped by private choice and quiet protection? And what does this hidden divide reveal about shifting power within the monarchy today? Could decisions made years ago still be influencing battles unfolding in the present? Let's uncover the details. Diana's legacy beyond royal control. In the quiet space between public duty and private memory, a different picture of the royal world comes into focus. Diana remains at the center of a web of decisions that still shape England today, not through speeches or ceremonies, but through land, law, and the places that quietly hold her story. On a small lake island deep within the Spencer countryside, her resting place sits far beyond the reach of palace control. Charles Spencer once described it as a choice made with care, a place kept deliberately separate, almost protected from everything that came after. Over time, that separation has come to define how her memory is held outside royal hands. Yet power continues to shift in other directions. Prince William stands at the center of a vast inheritance, an estate valued at around £1.2 billion, passed down through ancient laws, rooted in centuries of tradition. Alongside that, he carries personal wealth and jewelry, once belonging to Diana, objects that connect him closely to her life. Still, the most meaningful parts of her story are not within his reach. The island, the house, and the land that shaped her long before royalty ever surrounded her remain outside his control, forming a quiet boundary between memory and monarchy. Meanwhile, Camilla has quietly reorganized her private estate, transferring it to her untitled children through a discreet legal process that only became known when records made it visible. What was once closely tied to her family life now exists under new ownership, shifted without public attention or ceremony, yet adding another layer to the wider pattern of private inheritance unfolding across these intertwined lives. It reflects how wealth and legacy move silently, often away from public understanding, yet still shaping perception of the royal circle. A wedding photograph brings a different kind of memory into view. William, Harry, Tom, and Laura stood together on that day, side by side, carefully composed for the camera. Smiles were offered, unity was displayed, and whatever personal weight each carried remained carefully hidden from sight. That single moment now feels distant, almost fragile, when set against the quieter movements of property, legacy, and control that followed. William moves forward as future king, carrying expectation as much as authority, yet even that position has boundaries. The places most deeply tied to Diana's identity remain outside institutional reach, untouched by royal systems or influence. The island on the lake endures as a boundary no title can cross, a reminder that some inheritances are written not in crowns or laws, but in silence, memory, and land itself. Prince William appears to stand at the peak of royal influence, carrying wealth, symbolism, and the weight of a future crown that seems certain. Yet behind this strength lies a quieter emptiness that authority cannot resolve. But what is this unresolved gap tied to Princess Diana that even inheritance cannot reach? How has it quietly shaped the man expected to lead the monarchy, and why does it still linger beneath his public strength? Let's find out. Legacy of crown and absence. A strange balance of power and absence sits quietly within the future king's world, shaping a legacy that feels both complete and unfinished at the same time. Prince William carries a level of influence his mother, Princess Diana, never truly held within the royal structure, along with the wealth, the symbolism, and the promise of a crown that has always seemed destined to rest upon his shoulders. Yet for all that authority, there remains a deeply personal gap that no title or privilege can fill. There is a place tied to Diana that does not follow the same rules of inheritance. Althorp, the family estate in Northamptonshire, along with its grounds, its island, and its private corners, belongs to a different line of succession. It is not something William can simply step into, no matter his position or future role. Instead, it is expected to pass through the Spencer line, eventually resting in the hands of a cousin he hardly knows, a quiet detail that carries more emotional weight than public life ever reveals. Across different circles, interpretations of this arrangement vary. Some suggest William has accepted it with calm understanding, respecting the boundaries of the Spencer family and maintaining a polite and steady connection with his uncle, Earl Spencer. From this perspective, it is simply tradition, an orderly continuation of family law and legacy, untouched by sentiment. Others, however, see something more complex beneath that surface acceptance. They point to a quieter tension, the idea that William must carry forward as one of the most powerful men in the world, while the most personal piece of his mother's life remains just out of reach. It is not a matter of wealth or influence, but of emotional geography and land that shaped Diana's identity, yet will never fully belong to her son. This contrast leaves behind a lingering question that refuses to settle easily. In a world where history is carefully preserved and reputations are constantly reshaped, has the institution truly balanced its responsibilities toward Diana's memory? And as time moves forward, should the children connected to the present royal household quietly inherit parts of that broader legacy, while the deeper questions about fairness, memory, and belonging remain unresolved in the background of royal life? So what do you think is behind William inheriting Diana's secret estate and locking Camilla's family out forever? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe.